Welcome back to the Comic Chop, a place where your favorite slashers podcast hosts come together and discuss all things nerdy, from comic books, graphic novels, toys, and anything you find at your local comic book shop. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce a very special guest co-host. We have Joe, aka Player One, from my favorite podcast, and I'm sure it's your favorite podcast too. Much Ado About Nerding. Joe, say hello.
What's up, guys? What's up, goons and nerds? Happy to be on. Been waiting a long time for this. Been waiting a long time.
Nice.
I know. I'm very excited. And ever since I knew that you were like into graphic novels and stuff and horror, which is also what makes your podcast super cool. It's because it's like, yeah, y'all like nerdy stuff, but there's also like an asterisk and it's like heavily horror influenced also.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, I'm good. We're good.
Yeah, our spooky season starts in September. So from September to December, it's a horror podcast.
Why do you wait so long?
Actually, we've actually tried. I mean, because I heard that there's other podcast. I think they're called slashers. They basically they cornered the market on the horror podcast. So we got to stay out of that. We got to keep our niche.
But yeah, and as always, Lance is here too. So just kidding, Lance.
It's not here. Somebody has to be mean to me.
I'm not mean to you the way
No.
she does.
Yeah,
This is
total
just
different
sexual tension. Aid is just
It is true.
a different
This is-
beast.
This is my life.
Mhm.
One hates me and one loves me.
Speaking of gay shit, before we begin, I'd like to say Happy Pride Month to all you slashers out there. And what a
Woo-woo.
better way to celebrate Pride Month than to talk about comic books with two straight guys. So, um, before we
Yeah.
actually get into the comic that we're covering, I just wanted to ask, 'cause it's on brand, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only one here who fucking likes this movie. Did anybody see the trailer to Venom 3: The Last Dance?
Uh,
Okay. I mean, I thought you
I-
covered comic book stuff, but or are you nodding in disapproval?
I have not seen any of the Venom movies. I have not seen.
you
any.
Oh,
haven't?
any of them.
No.
Yeah. See, I have seen this last one. I'm just not a. And don't get me wrong. I love Tom Hardy. Like,
Me too.
I think he's awesome. He's playing Brock. I actually thought what's his name? Who did the serial killers in the second movie?
Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. He actually played a pretty good Carnage, like the human form of him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I saw that. It wasn't in an end credit scene.
Yeah, well, for the
That they
first one,
introduced
it was
him.
end
Yeah.
credit.
Okay. Yeah.
The
I did
second
see
one
Yeah.
actually has him in it.
He's the main
Mhm.
villain in the second one.
Yeah.
How come you're not into him, Joe?
It's the same thing with I just hate superhero movies that don't have the titular superhero in them. How are you gonna have a Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man? How are you going, like in the Penguin movie looks great? How are you gonna have a Batman movie without Batman? That's
Oh,
just
I
my whole
mean-
thing. It's something I can't get over. This is a me issue. It's not a you issue. But I'll see the Penguin movie because it looks to be more of like a mob movie.
Well, it's
Yeah.
a TV series too.
Oh, is it gonna? I thought it was gonna be a movie.
I think it's
I'm
the
pretty.
series.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think it's a
sweet.
series. Yeah. I think it's just in between, between the Batman movies.
And it's weird because I've always said that Batman as a character, he's so. But the reason why Batman is held in such high regard is because of his cadre of villains, like his rogues gallery of the people he fights. Like I've said, like in you can, if you're making a Batman movie, whoever you cast as Batman doesn't really matter as long as it's not George Clooney. But as
You don't like nipples? You don't like nipples on your Batman, sir?
and butt crack.
Yes.
But,
Oh yeah, forgot about that. Yeah.
But it matters like who you get to play the main villain in it, and as long as they knock it out of the park, the Batman usually doesn't matter. Usually,
I mean, it's true. If you look at all the Batman movies in the past, the shining stars are,
Yeah.
Poison Ivy, or for a less praise, it's Bane. It's where
well,
they
he was a
do really
better
good or it's
Bane
really
than the
bad.
later Bane. Yeah, that was actually
Yeah.
Bane.
Are you
Um,
afraid of the dark?
I was
Which-
born into it.
Didn't he say that
exactly.
he like wasn't that his Hispanic accent? Which
I don't
because
think it
he's
was.
Hispanic, isn't
That's
he, Bane?
no, he is,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's
And
Mexican. Yeah, or
Yeah,
yeah,
and
actually,
so
he might be South American.
he's South American actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
maybe my brain just took that as, and that's what you think they sound like. So I'm looking forward to it. I know y'all haven't seen the trailer, but what everyone's talking about is he turns a horse into, I don't know what it's called, whenever he turns it into a symbiote or whatever. He basically takes over a horse, and it's like this like it reminds me of like Frozen 2, how they threw in that water horse thing just to sell the merchandise. But I'm not gonna lie, that horse is pretty badass.
Uh,
Speaking of different universes, today we are traipsing into the universe of Image Comics. See,
Ooh,
that's how you segue. That's how you segue, buddy.
segue.
yeah.
Segue. I'm sorry, I'm French. But
Hello.
we're going to Image Comics, which I think most of our reviews so far have been from Image Comics. Sorry, they just make good shit. Um, so we've already done a breakdown of Image Comics before, so we don't have to do it again. But we're going over Gideon Falls, which is a story from Image Comics that is written and created by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino. Last time we had an Andrea, I wasn't sure if it was Andrea or Andre, but you know how like French, and we had this whole thing about it. And
Yeah.
Lance looked at the back of the book and was like, "Oh, it's a man." I was like, "Okay, so Andre." Lance actually is the one that introduced me to the story. It came out in October 2017 when Lance and I kind of like started doing shows together on slashers. We started talking about how he liked graphic novels and comic books. And then I think it was just just because you sent me this
Yeah.
and I read it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. And this is actually why we were like, we should review comic books without aid. And so
Yes, yes.
yeah, so we've actually been sitting on this one for a while. So yeah, pulling up a quick little synopsis real quick.
I wonder what they say because I always have my own idea of what it's all about, but then you get this and it goes, oh, nothing close to what I had.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not what I got at all.
Oh yeah. I mean, like that bear pirate Viking queen nonsense we covered. Who knows what
Oh,
the fuck that's
he's still
about,
upset
even though.
about this last book we did.
Anyways, so real quick, we're gonna review the first issue, which is the first 6 comic books of Gideon Falls. We have not, or at least Joe and I have not read the rest. I think Lance, you finished the series, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were probably fucked up when you did it, so who knows if you even remember. So, just kidding. So, the synopsis for Gideon Falls is the lives of a reclusive young man obsessed with the conspiracy in the city's trash and washed up Catholic priest. Wait, hang on. The lives of a reclusive young man obsessed with the conspiracy in the city's trash. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Wikipedia's fucking me up, y'all. Anyways, I'll make one up myself. So basically, there's this guy who's like a little crazy, and he's obsessed with this conspiracy that's going on that involves a black barn that just like appears. And when the black barn appears, shit happens. So in the beginning of the story, he's seeing his therapist who looks like Lucy Liu, and he's like, "Oh,
So
this black
does.
barn, dog, this black barn." And of course, she does a therapist thing, and like it, I don't know, this is the magic of writing, but I could feel the sexual tension myself between them.
Oh yeah, I was
Uh,
hoping.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
hoping.
I was like,
When she kept
get
saying,
you
I'm
some of that.
afraid, and then I'm like, oh, are we in a weird porn?
I
Let's
know.
get
I was
this
like,
on.
girls, sometimes that doesn't work. Hence, when I went to Florida and I tried it. But anyways, so the kicker is she ends up seeing it. So now they're doing their Scooby-Doo thing to figure it out together. I love that dynamic. I always love a whole like, I'm going to see a therapist. She says I'm wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. And then they end up seeing it too. I love it.
This book was really cool. Like, I even got my brother because at one point, me and my brother and my cousin were actually doing a kind of like a comic book club thing, and this is one of the books that I kind of discovered while we were doing that, and then yeah, and then me and my brother liked it so much we were like kind of like I kind of want to know how the rest of the story ends. Like, it's just it does a really good job of keep me interested from book to book to book. The black barn always kind of makes me think of Crawl, because the magic castle disappears every time,
Mm-hmm.
but it has like a bigger idea to it. Just keep my nerdiness going on with this.
Oh, dude, that movie. The fact that not enough people have seen that movie, I'm gonna totally derail the whole episode now. Troll is one of the greatest fantasy movies that nobody's ever freaking seen. It's got
Oh,
a
yeah,
young Liam Neeson, dude, so good. One of the coolest freaking magical weapons I've ever seen. Yeah, just so cool. Loved
So
it.
I'm over here wondering what the alligator movie has to do with this comic book. So now I know it's a different movie based off of Joe's summary. I was like, I don't remember a disappearing castle in Crawl.
Oh my god! You know what? If I would have thought about it, I would have put my T-shirt on. I have a Crawl T-shirt.
Oh,
So
nice.
Nice. Crawl, like spelled like Crawl?
No, it was a K. K.
Oh, Kroll.
Crawl.
Yeah.
Krol. See, Lance, you don't even say horror right.
You know, Joe understood me.
Well, not gonna lie, it did take me a second.
See,
Take me a second.
I have Kroll. This is where we might differ. And I like to bring this up just because part of comic books is the art. Lance, I know you like this art. I'm
The
interested
style.
to hear, the style, the way it is. To me,
Splash.
I don't
pages
know
are
what
awesome.
it is. Sure, Jan. I don't know what it is, but it's just these, for lack of a better term, messy type styles. And like when they look angry, I'm like, you look really ugly. So I don't know. Joe, be the voice of reason between us, because he also liked the art in Viking, Bear Queen, whatever, and like that was trash.
Oh,
So
man.
I think the artwork lends itself well to the horror genre. So I think it fits the book well. It's kind of jarring, it's off-putting, but so is, not that the story's bad, but the story's like, it's supposed to keep you on your toes, like what the hell is going on? Like when this dude was just collecting trash, I was like, what? Yeah, of course this guy's crazy. Like he's just collecting like little nails and he could like hear them or whatever, and he like drawn to them, picking up pieces of, and then you find out it's pieces of the barn. And doesn't make him any less crazy. But
Yeah, right.
but now I can see the method behind the madness. But no, I think the art, as far like if it was in like a Superman comic book, an X-Men comic book, I think it would be distracting. But I think because of the genre, because of the subject matter, I think it lends itself well.
Yeah. And I guess that means I'm just gonna have to get used to it, because now that you mentioned it, all the horror ones that we do, like witches, and they all have this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I'm quitting the show.
It does a good job of giving you several different characters. Then you have kind of like you feel like it's either some serial killer / demon scenario going on. You have the Black Barn as this looming like evil, you know what I mean, that you don't quite understand yet. You're like at the beginning stages of one of the characters in this, a local guy from the town that in Gideon Falls, where the priest has to deal with, murders his wife, you know, I think, and his kids or whatever. Like it's one of those things where like you have that, so you actually have a murder happen. You have this creepy, I guess the first father priest guy that was there that ends up
the one he's
replacing.
replacing.
Yeah, so like you have all that kind of scenarios. Then you have the female deputy, and then her dad, who's the doc, but you don't find that out until a little later on, so spoiler on that one. but he has the history of the Black Barn, so you get more knowledge about the Black Barn. You have the father kind of learning what's going on, because obviously there's that part where he's spiritual. At the same time, you have some kind of very demon-esque type stuff, so you're wondering, oh, is this a demon? Does God need to be there? Then, you know, it allows so many different really cool aspects and spots. But Joe, what did you like? What was your vibe of all that? Like, I mean, in the first 6 books, I mean, it's pretty much gets you in.
So I mean, I did enjoy this book. I was expecting more of a climax at the end.
Same.
kind of just like because the way I look at like the trade paperbacks and whatnot is like it should tell its own story. Like it should have, a beginning, middle, and an end. And it did. I was looking at like how much I had left, and I was like, that's not enough. Like we have to have some kind of payoff here at the end. So it did kind of leave me wanting there at the end. The story was great. It actually reminded me a lot of like an X-Files episode. It's like you were saying with like the conspiracy and like, oh, like why did they steal all his stuff, like all the pieces of the barn? And it was like supernatural, but it wasn't like overly supernatural. You didn't have the demon Valak or whatever, showing up there.
Yellow Eyes wasn't there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess technically, unfortunately, you know what? You haven't seen
There
it
is.
yet. But
No, I think we saw it.
Did we? I can't remember in these.
Wasn't there like an old priest like hunched over on like?
There is, but later on, I think in the next volume, there's there might be a thing where there's red eyes or the smiling face.
Thank you for leaving it ominous. There might
be a very demon-esque type like kind of thing, just like Yellow Eyes. So me joking about that, I'm like, no one actually there might be.
Well, but it's not like overly like you're not seeing them. You're not seeing like you don't see like Satan sending demons up. Like it's supernatural, but it's still kind of vague on like what the hell is going on. And that's why it kind of reminded me of an X-Files episode on the fact that, there is something supernatural going on, but it's still for what we perceive like the realm of possibility. Like, the seven trumpets aren't sounding and, the sky isn't opening up and all that stuff.
Wait till the next one. I'm just kidding. No, but I agree also. This is because before, like, I've read standalone graphic novels that's like not part of a series. Like that's what I've usually done. So this is the first time that I'm actually getting into like, I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to call it long form graphic novels. And so when it was finished, I was like, that's it. Like, it's like your first time. You're like, okay, I guess. But it definitely left me like the first time. It left me wanting more, but like in a good way.
I love how Joe started laughing and Mikey trying to keep going through it. And then Mikey's like, I have to explain this.
No, but like, because we've read some that like when it's over, you have that same like, well, that's it, but it doesn't really leave you wanting more. You're like, I could live without continuing, but I think this is the one that I'm actually looking forward to continuing the most out of the ones that we've read. I think it'd make an amazing Netflix series by oh no, he doesn't work 100%. For Netflix anymore. I'm gonna say
well, I believe there's one in the works. It just hasn't, like, basically it's like greenlit, but nothing has happened. Like it's got an IMDb page, but there's nothing on it. Yeah, there's really nothing on it.
I mean, I know a lot of stuff from Image has a lot of already properties that have been picked up, like TV / movie type stuff. I mean, this would be great because there's an ending to this book. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things where it's a continuation, which makes it harder to do other things. But this could easily be a 4-season, 5-season and be done. Unless they decided to fuck it up, which is very possible.
Well, what comic books and graphic novels have in their favor is I think it's easy to make a movie just as good and or even better than the comic book, only because other than like superhero comics are different because there's so many of them. They've been around for so long and you have so much details of the story. But like this, for instance, they like one thing I had to get used to is that comic books don't give you much. You just get what you see on the paper and the little bubble of what they're saying. And so a director or a writer or screenwriter can expand however much they want with those people and make it better. Not saying that it's not good, but that just doesn't work in comics unless you have a very long living comic book character like these superheroes that we have. So, and I think this Gideon Falls is the type of horror that people are loving right now. It's very midnight mass. It's very like just not in your face action gore. Like we're not in the 90s anymore. We're not in the early 2000s. We are loving right now like a faster slow burn, if that makes sense.
100%. I see exactly what you're saying.
how do you feel about the bubbles comparatively to action pictures or something like that? Because that's one of the things I do like about when it's like this, when it's more art based, the 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 storyline still is good, but a lot of times, sometimes the splash pages are like say enough for you without having to have that much wording like put in there. That's one of the things I kind of love about maybe more indies compared to more corporate kind of this is how we do it, this is all how we do it. You can't get any
The
more than
formula.
this. Yeah, and then you mean it's what Todd McFarlane got in trouble for most of the time in the beginning, because he'd do a splash page and it would be basically one side or the other, and like those people like lost their shit when he would do that, because they're like, you can't do that. What does this have to do with the storyline?
I will be honest, and I don't know if I have an opinion on that, just because I don't read the big box comic book store. Like, I read the indie stuff because I've said it many times, but Joe hasn't been here. I just feel like I can't just jump into Superman like starting
Right,
now.
yeah.
So I've literally just picked up my first like Marvel DC big one, and it's Swamp Thing and Animal
Animal Man.
Man,
Yeah.
because I went to start where they overlap, which is forgot what they're called, but when I was with Lance in
crossovers.
Florida, yeah, I got the first 10 of each that contribute to the crossover. So like that's like a starting point for me, but like I can't just be like, you know what, I really want to get into Batman. Let me just go buy the latest issue. So,
Well, the good thing with that is that DC likes to revamp their universe like twice every decade. So
52.
So you could basically just the new 50. God dang, dude. I had a way too drunk conversation at a brewery last weekend with the bar back about all that crap. But I see what you're saying. Like, as far as like going against what like the formula and with the splash pages, I enjoy the splash pages. But I do see how it's kind of jarring. And I ran into that with what is Murder House? What's the other comic book we were just supposed to read?
You're talking about
The Monster Hunters.
Little Monsters.
Slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
Because the Slaughterhouse, instead of the panels being like just a page,
Yeah.
like, like they went across both
Yeah.
pages, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm lost. And it's not that it was bad; it was just something I wasn't used to.
Yeah.
But I could see how it's jarring. But no, I mean, like I said, I enjoyed the art for what it was representing in this book, and same thing for Slaughterhouse.
Well, if I could shit on Man Bear Pig one more time, those bubbles, there's some you can't even see because it's the same color as the window itself.
I will give you that. We did.
I missed dialogue because I was like, oh, there's a bubble there, and I didn't see it. Like, that book is not ADHD friendly. I'm just gonna say that. I'm excited to continue with this one because one thing we haven't done, because we've never gone that far into a story on this series yet, is breaking down like characters and like themes and things like that. And I think this one will have, because basically the only people we get to know closely is the main guy who's going to therapy and the father. But we still don't really know much to kind of like do like a deep dive into their character. So I'm excited to keep going. I do want to go through the next couple of issues, and then maybe we'll all come back together and revisit.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool to like what your idea. Oh, like, okay, for example, like it'd be kind of cool is, where do you think Norton and the father will end up just from these 6 books? What do you think the might be scenario? And then once we read it ourselves and whatever, come back at the end when we're done with the series.
And so what's our theory?
Yeah. What's your theory like so far? Like, what do you think's happening? What's with the actual Black Barn scenario? What's your guess after the 6 first books?
Their drinking water has been laced with LSD, and they're going crazy.
Nice. Joe, what do you think?
I'm gonna get into this. I mean, just picture like the map with all the like the yarn pieces on the pins.
Yeah.
Cigarette in my mouth. Like, okay, now listen up, right? So no, I think
you're Doc Sutton.
Yeah. Yeah. No, as far as like the dynamic between those 2 characters, I love the trope of the holy man that's lost his faith. I love that. I mean, and it's been overdone, but I still love it, and I just love how, again, it's the crazy old guy in the town that's probably going to bring his faith back and prove to him like, no, these things are still real, dude. Just because you lost your faith doesn't mean that, you know, the devil and God still aren't waging this war for the souls of humanity or whatever. But in my opinion, like, again, only reading the first 6 books, I'm gonna say something tragic happened in this barn, and that released like energy, like some kind of energy, psycho energy or whatever, that haunted this place, gave itself a sentience, gave itself a power, and then it's going like back and forth through time, waging war on these people and messing them up.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's what I gathered.
It's hard to say something like, you know, like when we did witches, like there's something with the land, because we have the priest who's like in a small desert town, and we have the main guy who's like kind of looks like New York City, but I think it's, you know, but also the book's called Gideon Falls, so maybe they're actually close in proximity and there's something going on with the area.
Put them in the same universe. That'd be kind of cool.
What do you mean put them in the same universe?
Well, witches in
no,
Gideon Falls.
not witches. I meant the priest and the main guy.
Oh,
like,
right. Oh,
that's their kind of. I wasn't. Oh my god.
And also, like, I'm getting the vibes that Crazy Mask Man is also the brother that the deputy lost, because like he went, like, there's that whole other story of like, my brother went missing and my father went crazy because of it. And then like he was like, I don't know my past. I was just like an orphan or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I mean, but also, are you making it that obvious? Is this a red herring that I'm going to be like, oh, flabbergasted later on when it's not him?
So. I mean, it could just be connective tissue for the story. Because I was wondering, I was like, how are these two guys going to be connected? We're coming towards the end, so I just want to extend my biggest gratitude to Joe. I'm super glad you finally got to do this. I hope this is the first of many, even if it's not Gideon Falls related. So we're going to send you what we're doing. If you ever want to hop on, let us know.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Had a blast talking about this. Also, and thank you for expanding my, I usually, like, as Mikey puts it, the big box books. I usually just read Marvel, a little bit of DC, love me some Green Lantern, but no, thank you for expanding my horizons into this. And yeah, like I said, I've already finished Slaughterhouse, that one.
Nice.
Loved it.
Nice.
Loved that damn book.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
If anybody wants to check out Joe and his sister Sal, you can catch, I was going to say Night of the Living Nerds. Much Ado About Nerdy.
Damn, missed opportunity.
I know, I'm sorry. Much Ado About Nerding on any podcast platform. Also on Instagram at, what's your Instagram? Same thing, Much Ado About Nerding?
It is Much Ado About Nerding podcast with underscores instead of spaces.
There you go.
Again, just thank you guys. Love the main podcast. I have been a long-time listener from the old regime to the new, the old gods and the new. Love you guys. Actually kind of inspired me to start, me and my sister started our own podcast. So yeah.
Nice.
Well,
yeah.
That's
You guys are awesome.
So we love y'all as well. So
Yeah,
let us know. And then listen to Much Ado About Nerding. And then we'll be coming back next week with a very special comic book that I don't know what it is yet, but we'll figure it out. So I know.
Special.
Well, we have a list.
I know we
So
do.
it's one of those. All those are special.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in today. And hey, let us know if you want us to read anything special or whatever. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things. And then by the time this is released, Pride Month will be over. Thank God. So then, just kidding. That's not going on the episode.
Hey, as long as it was you setting.
Breathe it in. Breathe it in.
But yeah, so I hope you had a great Pride Month, and we'll be coming back to you for a real hot July. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.